And hello, everyone. It is time once again for Workshop Wednesday. Let me just make sure. Yep, we're picking stuff up on the other side. So today's an electronics project. You can see the wiring diagram down here. We're going to make a plastic ball that has electronics inside it and sort of rolls around and such. Should be fun. See how all that goes. You got to wire everything up basically based on an Instructable, which I will probably link at some point here. I think we want it like that. Yeah, okay. So I think that will be the bottom. And we've got to wire this up. So let's just look at the wiring diagram and kind of get that started. So it's a different breadboard than what they have in the diagram. So I'm going to end up having to just kind of go off that. It doesn't have the side things, so that's not going to work. Actually, I have a sudden thought here. This is the breadboard they said to get, but I'm looking at this and realizing it's not big enough for all of those pieces. What do they do? There's something. Oh, they wired it in a different configuration. I see. They added another breadboard. We should have two. Well, darn fern. So let's just look at these pieces. This may end up having to be a project for another time. I can't open that way. This is a single serial display that has, let's see here. So that is stubbed out on another breadboard, and that is, yeah, this is here pushed through, and this is over here. Well, okay, yeah. Let me see if I have another breadboard that is usable, and I have a bunch, but they're big. I don't think I have any breadboards of an appropriate size. Nope. Okay, so change of plans. That happens sometimes. All right, so in that case, guess what we're going to do? We're going to paint. We were going to do electronics, but we're going to paint instead. And I will make a note to order another one of these breadboards. That was in this, but this has no labeling on it, so I don't need to keep that. I will keep this out to remind myself, and we'll do this some other time. And now we're going to paint some minis. In fact, I think we're going to paint a dragon. I want to paint a dragon tonight, and we're going to do that. So this goes off to the side, and we'll get our painting stuff together, and we'll just have to do that next week. Such is life. All right, so these are both, yeah, not useful. Let's grab our painting materials and a mini. Do I have, no, that's fine. We will remove, I will probably have to, actually, yeah, let me grab a white dragon. Let me grab an image of the white dragon. There it is. I'm going to actually bring up two. I kind of like that one. Yeah, that'll be it. Although, yeah. Doomp. Let's pull that up and change that out. Okay, yeah. So that's what we're going to be painting. Let me grab our stuff. Hey, Kuma. Hey, Kaminoko. I'll be back in 60 seconds. even faster than that, but I do need to grab my painting materials. Which are right over here. Get some paints. Might get a nice big brush this time. That'll do. Some paintbrushes, yep. We need a surface. And we definitely need our little bowl. Okay. So, we're going to paint this guy here. This is a White Dragon mini that I added some clay to the other day. That would not surprise me, Kuma. I came back too fast, too furious. So yeah, we're gonna have to play around with this a little bit and figure out what we get of this. So I have the White Dragon mini. I also have some other things. This little slug guy that I wouldn't mind, making something other than a flat blue. Same thing with these little slug guys. Give them some consistent color. Don't know what that is gonna be. I'll have to look around for that. And I do have this one unpainted plastic mini that I just got randomly in a pack somewhere. And I could give him a a cloak and that kind of stuff. So I might do that. We'll see. But let's look at what we have here. We have, I think, this is the kind of creature. And one of the reasons I'm doing this is because... And one of the reasons I'm doing this way is I think this is going to need a lot of what we call washes, aka wet washes, where you have little paint and a lot of water and you brush it on there and it kind of gets into the cracks and it gives it kind of that detail. I think we're going to need that, and we're going to need multiple layers of that. And it takes a little while for that to dry. So I'm hoping I can kind of do a layer, put it aside, paint something else, come back in here, do another layer, so forth and so on. We will see. Wonder how close I can get to Bad Boys without triggering that. Bad boys, what you gonna do? Alright, so looking at this, first thing we notice is it's obviously not a pure white, it's more of an off-white, sort of a pearlescent white. Bit of a yellowy white. So what I might do just to start off with is give it a coat of an off-white, just so it doesn't look this sort of pure bone white. I think that might make sense. And then we can add other stuff in there as well. And add a wash onto that, etc. I think that's what I'll do. I will start with a base coat, if you will, because this white's a little unnatural for an actual creature. And sometimes you want an unnatural thing, for a skeleton or something like that. But for a dragon, I think it makes sense to have a slightly more, slightly more natural, if you will, color. And it feels a little bit more like a skin or a scale. All right. So we'll put in some yellow. Mix that in. Get just that slight tone. See how light that can get. That's a little too yellowy. That's lemon cake. It's not quite what I'm going for. Let's mix in some more white. All right. Still a little too yellow, but might end up with something doable here. Oh, darn. You know what? I'm going to use up the rest of this white. I'm going to cross the streams. Don't cross the streams. All right. That's going there. I'm feeling good because I did some brain exercises today. That's more what I'm looking for. That's better. Oh, you can't even see that. I'm sorry. There we are. Hey, Hem. Good to see you. There we go. That's pretty much exactly what I'm looking for. Okay. I'm going to throw this away. Significance of dragons in Western and Eastern culture. There's a question. We could spend the rest of the night on that one. I have a sort of a medium brush here. Yeah, I'm going to use that to brush this in. I'm going to save the big paintbrush. So I've got this one I'm going to use for washes. I'm going to use this one to get all this paint over here and give him that just sort of slightly... No, I'm still not a huge fan of this color. Yeah, no, it's still a little too yellow. All right. So, what can we do? There's a little brown in there, maybe? I need some more white. I do have a pot of white. I also have some gray, which I can mix into there a little bit. That's a thought. Let's try some white. Yeah, the brain exercises always just make me feel smarter, which is kind of the point, isn't it? All right. Yeah, that's definitely too yellow. Looked good on the palette, but not so good when added in. Did I get any yellow on this? I don't think so. Yeah. Gonna have so much paint here. So much paint. Yeah, still too yellow. Gosh. Well, I'm learning. Definitely learning. I want just a slight tinge of the yellow to that. All right, let's try that color. See how it looks. Maybe on the down here. Still a little too yellow. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to acknowledge this and just not paint everywhere with this color. I'm just going to put it kind of down here. I'm going to give him, or her, I don't know, some of this paint on the bottom of the miniature. Down here. I'll get to dragons here in a little bit. And up there. And I'll keep the rest of it white, and we'll see what we do. May come back with a different color. Okay. So that's disappointing. Yeah, the problem here is we just got so many different shades. So let me add a little slate to that. So, what are dragons? That is an open question. What's interesting about dragons, one of the interesting things about dragons, is that almost every culture has them. There is some variation on dragons in many, 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 many cultures. And that's just kind of suspicious, right? Like, why would that kind of a thing show up in culture after culture after culture if it wasn't based on something? And we certainly have examples in, you know what I'm going to do? That I'm just throwing good colors after bad. I'm going to go here. And I got some yellow in it. Dang. I'm going to go through a bunch of popsicle sticks tonight. I'm going to grab some white. Plop it down. Some more white. Plop it down. And I'm going to grab a little bit of gray. Plop that down. And mix that in. And just get a light gray. Yeah, okay. There's a light gray. That's what I was going after, frankly, is more of a light gray, a putty color. That yellow was just too much. Okay. I'm not going to put this everywhere either, but I think, whoa, yeah. This hand is for grabbing. Let's see here. I think we're seeing a lot of dark underneath, so I might go ahead and spread some of this gray. Yeah, that's what we're looking for. Okay. Dragons show up in the Bible. there's a whole chapter of Job that describes a fire-breathing dragon, which is, again, kind of weird, because it's in a section which is describing other normal creatures, other, unusual but, like, real creatures, like oxen and such. It also describes a weird creature called a Leviathan. I'm not sure what that is. Or no, not Leviathan. There's another creature. Anyway, there's this thing, the Leviathan creature is what this dragon is, but it's a fire-breathing dragon. I mean, quite clearly. So, yeah, it seems like at least the concept of the dragon is a common one in myth. It's a thing that a lot of people kind of care about and get really focused on. And now I think what we should do is we're going to start on our, yeah, I'm happy with that. I'm going to get a little more of this and get these other places where that yellow touched. I just want to brush that off, or brush some of this gray over it, because that's just not, that yellow is not working for me. So where they come from, we don't know. But now we're going to we're going to grab some of this gray, put it in our jar. A little more gray, put that in our jar. I'm actually going to add a bit more of the gray. Don't want to be cray with gray. And give this a mix. Yeah. So we're going to have this very light. Actually, I want it darker. I might go with something pretty close to this gray for the color. Finally. Yeah. A little lighter than that. And then we're going to add a bunch of water to that. Really dilute it. And when I say some water, we're going to pretty much fill this. Well, mostly fill it. And then mix that paint in. So we have this super dilution of that paint over here. And I think I can go ahead and use this. So, I need tissues for this. Matt asks, do you need knowledge in AutoCAD to use 3D printing? Not at all. In fact, when I first started with my first 3D printer, my second 3D printer, the first one didn't really work. The second one, I started, in terms of software, with trying to learn OpenSCAD and CAD software packages. And I made a few things, but I quickly learned it was not up my alley. And I just would download files off the internet and print them. And I spent years just doing that. And then you can, from there, you can start using tools like Blender to modify those, create your own files, but it's not really CAD anymore. It's just modeling. So yeah, that is definitely not necessary, which is good news for most of us. All right, so I'm going to try. I'm going to see what happens here. I'm going to throw some paint, this gray paint, into here. And then mop it up. And we'll see how well it mops up. Ooh, that's really sticky. Okay, this is a very heavy paint, actually, but I'm actually not terrified by that. That's actually kind of nice. So what we're getting here is, on that claw you can see here, there's now some shadow, some gray shadow worked into there with this paint. That's what I'm going for. See if you can see the difference here. Not really very well. This is an unpainted claw. See how white it is? And this one's darker. It has some more paint in the shadows. That's kind of nice. So I'm going to do that with the rest of this. And basically just cover it with the paint and then daub off everything I can. And so the tissue gets all the surfaces, but not into those crevices. Yeah, you can very easily spend, oh shoot, tissue got some paint on it. You can easily spend plenty of time with 3D printing without ever touching anything like that stuff. I'll do this and then rub. Yeah. Okay, that's kind of nice. So yeah, there are really two main kinds of the classic dragon, if you will. The Western dragon and the Eastern dragon. Where the Western dragon is basically a beast. Might be intelligent. Might be capable of speech, for example. But is fundamentally a creature against humanity, versus humanity. Whereas an Eastern dragon is generally just another creature out there that is at least as smart as people and really should be left alone. It's not out there eating villagers. It's just another creature. And often quite wise, and thus not something to be kind of messed around with pointlessly. In fact, in D&D has the chromatic dragons and the metallic dragons, which basically represents that duality, where the chromatic dragons, white, black, red, blue, green, are intelligent but basically bad guys. They're greedy, they're manipulative, they love treasure, they're constantly stealing things, etc. Whereas metallic dragons, gold, copper, silver, etc., are more noble, thoughtful creatures. So I don't know if you can see this. It's very subtle. But I'm putting some of this color into here and then daubing it off. And yeah, the lights here are a little too harsh to pick that up. But as a result, I'm getting a little bit of that gray in some of these crevices, which helps to make it work. Now, one of the issues I'm finding is that the clay I used on this isn't quite hardened yet. It's still kind of soft. And that, as a result, when I paint it, put paint on that, especially this very wet paint, the clay is starting to get wet and soft. So I'm going to have to be pretty careful here with how I do that. And actually, I see I've got some, I put some of that yellow paint on the tail back here. You can see that yellow here. I want to cover that up with some of this gray paint best I can. I'm okay with giving him, again, or her, a slightly more gray color scheme. I think that, again, it feels a little bit more real in a way. Okay, and what I might do is I'm going to darken this up. So let me get some, actually, I'm going to go crazy here. I'm going to go crazy and throw in some black. You see how quickly that black just inks into there. Just makes that much darker very quickly. Because I want some shadows. I want some darkness in there. Some darkness in the shadows. And that is definitely darker than what I had before. But, heck. Well, no, that gave us a lot more. Just scraping that off. Yep. Okay. So now we will do the same thing here. We're going to essentially reapply that just with a much darker color into these sections. Some cool colors going on there. But it's not actually that much darker. The paint itself looks darker, but it's not actually much darker. Disappointing. So when I daub that off, it's looking about the same. Yeah, getting some variation though. Yeah, not too bad. Oops. Got right down into that white paint. In fact. Let's do this here. So dragons seem to be a piece of our subconscious about the monsters that be out there. They're kind of the ultimate, don't go wandering outside or something will eat you. Right? That is pretty much what a dragon represents. Because it is very much capable of doing that. And so the whole point is that, okay, yeah, you might not worry about some of these creatures, but a dragon, like that's enough to scare people, to freak people out. Okay. I think what I want to do, those wings aren't really very striated. It's very hard to tell. I think I want a sense. Yeah, let me just brush on some of this paint. I need some dark. I'm gonna just grab some of that gray, paint it right on that wing, and then daub some of it off. So I just added some gray paint to that and then daubed it off, and it just gives it that little sense of, oh, got into paint again. Jeez. Should not have this big glob of white paint with it. In fact, we'll do that. Make it a little less likely I'm going to get my hands right in it. So, yeah, so just by daubing, putting it in there and daubing it off, we're getting a little sense of striation there. We need a bit more. So I'm just going to rub along some of these patterns. And then repeat. You asked the brain exercises I use. I exclusively use a system called Dakim, which is kind of formulated for this. It's not just kind of random brain training games. Yeah. It's a little weird, but I'm kind of liking that sense. Almost like a tattoo. Jeez. Get some of those colors in there. Rub them off. Kind of interesting. Yeah. Gotta get across that idea of these arms in there. Yep, classic tools for man versus nature storytelling. They're also classic tools for the idea of the thing out there that needs to be defeated. You know, the monster. That is the dragon. The dragon is quite simply a monster, and it can't be really reasoned with. It can't be explained. It's kind of the Terminator of its day, but it doesn't behave the way normal people do, right? It doesn't have a normal agenda, and that's one of the things that you got to kind of deal with dragons, is that they're not, you know, they're, jeez. Yeah. So, note to self, don't put paint right here where I'm going to do it. Put them over there or something. Okay. So, I'm actually not a huge fan of that. So I'm going to go ahead and put some of this paint on there and rub some of that off to kind of try to rub that in there and give it a bit of a sense of, what I might do is get some of this light gray paint in there. Just very lightly. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, so we're just adding some gray to that. I'm actually going to brush it off. I'll probably end up adding some white paint to this as well. Yeah, that kind of, yeah, that's, yeah. Yeah, we'll do it that way. Okay. yeah, instead of having a sense of those arms, which aren't really coming along the way I want to, we'll just have a sense of the gray kind of spreading out to the white edges of the wings. That's a little nicer, a little more natural. It's definitely not coming along as easily and cleanly as the other one, partly because the other one had just such a clean color design. In fact, what I'm going to do, there was another dragon. Yeah. Excuse me. Excuse me. You know what? We might go for something more like this. I kind of like that a bit more. Where it's, yeah, where there's a big contrast between dark and white, black and white. Yeah, I think that's what we're going to do. Okay, so here's what that means. What it means is I'm going to grab a new brush. Yeah, maybe not. How bad is this? This is fine. I'm going to take this. I'm going to take some white. I'm just going to go for it. I'm going to... Thanks, Kaminoko. Oh, DAKIM is the name of the software I use. DAKIM is the brain training software. Go to dakim.com and they will, you can sign up there. You have to pay for it, unfortunately. But it's kind of worth it because, again, it's not just random brain games. They have absolutely designed that to match how people's brains actually work and make them more pliable and work better. So yeah, I'm going to just go ahead and basically re-white this guy. Not entirely, but just cover over all those bits that got a little bit of that yellow. I'm okay with making this white again. I'm going to come back to here in a few moments and do a much darker coat on this. And that's fine. In fact, I'm going to brush off, brush off those wings, make them a little whiter. And the software just really works. I actually had a friend of mine who suffered a traumatic brain injury, and Dakim helped him tremendously recover a lot of the mental faculties that he had lost. And other things helped too. I mean, I'm not saying that was the only thing, but it was a big deal. So that was cool. It's certainly possible. All right, and then one other thing we're going to do before I go any further is the inside of this dragon's mouth should be nice and black. And that's going to be hard to get into after I've done other things. So I'm going to grab, I might just grab, yeah, let me get a toothpick. All right. So I'm just going to grab some black and get right in here on this guy. And just paint right up into his mouth. And get a whole bunch of nice black paint in there. I'll come back in and fix it later. Like I want to give make his tongue nice and red. But there's really no other way of getting the inside of that mouth nice and black. Nice and cavernously black. There we go. There's his black mouth. Okay. Good. All right, so we're going to, like I said, we're going to let this dry for a few moments and then come back. Oh, come on. Stand over. No. Put him over here to dry. Yeah, let him hang out over there. And then we're going to go to some of these other guys, paint them up, and come back here once we've had a chance to deal with them. All right, so what do we got? We've got Slug Guy. He should be a different color. Let's do a little bit of Googling into some slug. Actually, I can... It's so cool. I can show this to you now. So let's search for slug. Whoops. Actually, search for slug monster. And Steven Universe. Okay, good. That's a good variety of stuff. Okay, so definitely with slugs, we want like a dark gray sense. So let's start there. In fact, what I might do... Ooh, that's interesting. What if... Yeah. I have this shiny steel. What if it looks... Maybe even the sterling? Or the pewter? Let's go with sterling. See what that looks like. You know what? I might... I'm going to give it a black coat first. And so fortunately I can just start with black. And then I'm going to cover it with a coat of the sterling silver once the black has dried, and be kind of light with that coat. Just give it that shininess of a slug. If that doesn't work, I'll give it a gray coat. But I think a black base coat will work quite nicely. So let's just look at that. And yeah, we'll give it some black. All right, so while we're doing this, if I recall correctly, a couple weeks ago, Kuma was a villager trying to rescue the blacksmith's daughter, who had been kidnapped by goblins, and ran to this abandoned temple out in the wilderness where the goblins were hiding out. And then Kuma's character went in and fought off these nasty creatures around there. Fought off some goblins, tried to fight the nasty creatures, but did not succeed. And then went... tried and sort of busted down the door with the blacksmith, and unfortunately fell under the onslaught of these bat-like creatures inside. And the blacksmith decided to go ahead and charge forward. Is that about right, Kuma? Our little D&D session from last time? Our impromptu D&D session? There we go. Hey, Yakushiki. Doing good. Get this black all over this slug guy, and I'll blackify the other ones as well. All right, so let's see here. I believe, Kuma, you had a sword which the blacksmith picked up, and he went charging down past these bat things, which stayed in the entrance, and he went down into this this stairway that went down into the earth inside this temple. And as he descended these broken steps, he smelled the he smelled this stench. It was this deep loam smell, the deep earth smell, combined with the smell of refuse and old food, things along those lines. And he came down to this large open cavern area. Looks like the temple had used this area. It was sort of a storage area, perhaps at one time, the secret storage area, or it's certainly a secret area for the temple. And he sees, fortunately, there's some light down there. The light is actually coming from further on. He's in a large cavern. It's probably, let's say, 30 feet wide and roughly circular. And on the other side of the cavern, he's roughly on one side of this circular space. On the other side, there's an opening carved into the very rock that leads into another chamber, and there's some light in there. Can't quite see what's going on in there, but there's definitely light coming in there. And as his eyes adjust to the darkness, he sees over to his left, there are some figures. And he sees there are about 4 adult goblins who are crouched around about 8 much smaller goblins, protectively. And as he looks around, he sees there are bones and other refuse scattered around here. That's where the smell came from. He suddenly feels cold as he's gone down probably 20 feet into the ground. And so he sees these goblinoids off to the left, and then he hears some scuffling and something going on ahead of him. What does the blacksmith do? Okay, meanwhile, we will paint up these other slugs. Do like the idea of giving them this metallic sheen with the black under them. And I think we'll give them nice black eyeballs too. Black slug eyes. Another thing we can try, actually, Kuma, is the Discord. I don't know if the Discord is going to be any faster, but it might be. This whole long delay for the chat on YouTube. Let me pull that up, just so we have it. Won't be able to see much on here, but that's okay. That is going to be browser, I think? Yeah. Yeah. So, Kuma, it's totally up to you if this is faster. But if you want to try posting in the Discord, in the live stream channel, we can see if that's faster, if the delay is any faster. Don't know. Alright, there's the black. Going on the other guy. Obviously this is pretty straightforward. Just getting black all over him. But you want to make sure that you're actually watching. That it's not just, oh, I'm going to slather black on. You want to make sure you get black on every single spot. I think I lost Kuma. Right, and also the underbelly. It's important. Yep. And then I have one. Yep, I got the white one. Some nice slugs. Nice sluggy-like slugs. Yeah, how fast is that drying? Not fast enough. Was hoping I'd get back to the first one by the time I was done painting up these, but... Oh, gotcha. Well, worth a try, Kuma. Let me know. No rush. Alright, see you, Kaminoko. Thanks for joining us. Hope to see you on Friday for the live stream. Tell your SO I said hi. Alright, so there's the black all along there. There we are. All nice. ice and black. All right. Good. These guys are all pretty darn black now. Some little spots I didn't get. No worries, Kuma. Like I said, take your time. We're in no rush here. Definitely got a lot of black on this. Okay. Excuse me. So let's see. Got them. I got this guy too. Let's give him a nice. He should have a black cloak, don't you think? So we got this cultist here, and I think he needs a good black cloak. But I think it should not be a black cloak. It should be like a very, very, very dark black. Oh, sorry about that, Kaminoko. Well, enjoy. Safe travels. I should get more of the powdered gloves, because this is just kind of ridiculous. Okay. So we grab, we're just gonna grab some black and we'll add some gray. In fact, I'm gonna do it over here. Some black and some gray. And as we know, we'll do that. Black tends to completely overwhelm other colors. We're going to be careful here. Oh, hello. Focus. Focus. Well, it'll focus in eventually. Huh. Weird. Oh well. You don't need focus to see me making up a gray. There we go. I'm just making up a dark gray color here for his cloak. I think his entire cloak is going to be this dark gray. Just more or less slathering it on. Probably should have started with the book, because the book might be a little... Oh well. And yeah, I think I'm just going to cover his entire... do his entire cloak this gray. Yeah, that's nice. There are very few examples in nature where you get something that is precisely, like a primary color or a full black or a full white. It's why I wanted on the dragon to come up with some kind of off-white to paint it. It just looks more natural, more real. There it is. Oh, actually, yeah, his entire arm. Yeah, he's basically entirely covered in this color. Come on, focus. Make sure it didn't somehow go to manual focus. Nope. There we are. Just needed to force it. Okay. Take a brief break and get his bearings. Okay, so the issue here is that the blacksmith is in an area where he can certainly catch his breath for a little while, but there's really no opportunity to really recover hit points. That would take probably a good hour of relaxation and bandaging wounds. So you can certainly, like I said, catch your bearings, but there's really no hit point regeneration unless you really took a long break. Yes, your body is on the stairs, at the top of the stairs, bleeding out, basically. For better or worse. You did not say the blacksmith carried you down, so he did not carry you down. Which is fine. So what do you do? Yeah, in D&D, generally healing only happens in sort of at long periods. What we call a short rest and long rest, which are either an hour or 8 hours of rest or sleeping or whatever. Okay, so there's that gray on him. Nice. Come back and add some other colors to that book. That's a good start on him. All right. Now, how are we on the dragon? Is that... Yeah, I think he's pretty dry. Yeah. Okay. So, now what we're going to do, actually, I'm going to go rinse this out real quick so I can make a more or less a black wash. So, back in about 60 seconds. No, let's say 2 minutes. All right. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do a black wash on him. So all right. So the blacksmith heads back up the stairs and sees Kuma there, and there are indeed 3 of these bats all latched on to Kuma's body, sort of sucking blood out of him. The blacksmith can certainly try to push them aside, but that's why the bats didn't go down after the blacksmith. They are distracted by Kuma. So, what do you want to do? The blacksmith does see that now that they're feeding, they seem more lethargic. They're not as aggressive as they were before. All right. Let's go with... Where's my... Yeah. No, I'm going to use the big one. Big rush. Oh. Not until I have paint. All right. Yeah. So we're going to add some black to this. Start there. Put in a bunch of water. I'm going to put in a little, well, no, it needs to be a lot of water. We need a wash. I've been burned before by not having enough water in here. And as a result, you end up with paint, not a wash. Okay. I do not want a black dragon here. I want a wash. All right, so let's give this a try. I'm gonna go to his back. Remind ourselves of what. Actually, it's really, yeah. Let's do these bits down here on the claws. Ooh, whoa, 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 whoa. Ooh, no, that's nice. That's nice. It's definitely giving a very heavy. Contrast. Yeah, that's good. So I think you can see now how these claws are getting some nice black, kind of whatever the versions of highlights are, lowlights, whatever. Yeah, there are 3 now. Okay, so you can certainly do that. So he definitely finds a rock and throws it at them. Go ahead and give me a dexterity roll. That's a d20. Oh, and actually, we got to find out what the blacksmith's dexterity is. So before you do that, go ahead and roll 4 6-sided dice. Drop the lowest. And that is your blacksmith's dexterity. Blacksmith has his own stats. Forgot about that. A lot of stats in D&D. All right, we'll add some black in there. And then wash some of that off. Add some black in here. And then wash that off, or rub it off. Yeah, it's giving it a nice... nice sort of sense of depth. Okay, and I'm just going to go ahead and do it on its back. All in there. And then again, in. I think I need a new tissue for this. Okay, rub that off. Rub it off. Cool. Yeah, that's giving us some definition there. All right, sounds good, Kuma? All right. We'll do that on the tail as well. Let's just see what the tail looks like with some of this black on it. Getting into those spots. Definitely need tissue. Oh, almost out of tissues. Okay, it's kind of discoloring that clay, not surprisingly, but we're getting some interesting definition there. All right, a little bit. I think I'm gonna pause there. There's a lot on his face. That makes sense. I'm just gonna throw this black wash all over his face. And then rub it off. Okay, yeah, that gives it some little more definition. Perhaps a little more. I almost want to keep the yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's kind of nice. We're getting some real sense of that dragon's head. The more we paint. Can't really tell that because of the light. Starting to feel a little more ferocious, a little more scary. Good. Now we're going to do its front. Yeah, that's a bit much. But then when we pull it off, yeah, it gets in there, and we get a bit more. What I might do is this, and then just be very, very light in pulling that out. I kind of like the darkness in there. Yeah, a bit more. Go a little bit more. Why not? Yeah, yeah. Yeah, we're getting some real definition on those muscles. Make sure you post in the live stream channel, by the way. Kuma. That's what I'm set to view over here. That's nice. All right. Yeah, that dragon's starting to feel a little more real. Okay. Now, how are we doing on him? That's pretty dry. Yeah, that's nice and dry. So now we're going to add the sterling. And I'm just going to grab a brush. It's kind of a small brush, but I'm just going to brush some of the silver over it. I'm going to try doing it very very thinly. I don't want it to look like it is covered in silver. I want to give the sense of kind of the slime all over it. In fact, I might do better if I cut this with a little bit of gray regular paint. This is doing kind of nicely though. As long as I do it nice and thin. Yeah. Yeah, it has that sense of a covering of like a mucus. Not so much of a, anything else. Yep, 1 second. Oops. 1 second. Boom. Okay. Again, we're not crossing the streams here. I only have this one paint on my brush at any one time. So we don't have to worry about that. By getting one thing along with another. Do I have... Yeah, I actually have some glossy black paint. And I'll use that for the eyes of these things. That'll be cool. Yeah. A little too heavy on the paint there, so I'm hoping I can brush that down. Yep. Pretty well. Leave the mouths nice and black. Cool. Try not to go too close under the mouth with this, because you feel like if the mouth's black, then under just the lower lip should be fairly black. Alright, then on the back. That's nice. Nice and light. Yeah, that's pretty creepy. Okay. Where else they could use a little more? Just a little teensy more. Cool. Yeah, that band there needs a little bit. There. Yeah. Alright. There's our little slug monster covered with, like we said, just a light coating of the silver. Gives it this lovely, just sort of slimy sense, slimy feel. Cool. Hey, Kuma. All right, sounds good. I will bear with you. All right. Discord should have some kind of die rolling thing within it. We'll get that working at some point. sure of that. So we're just brushing on this metallic silver paint very lightly, just enough to give it that weird sheen, that weird gross sheen. You guys have only one eye. Huh. Hadn't noticed that before. I think I'm going to go a little heavier on the paint on the bottom of it. Give a sense of that gross stuff falling down. Total of 12, so he is not very dexterous, but not too bad. +1. All right, so go ahead and give me a d20 roll. And add 1 to it for his dexterity bonus of 1. If he had a 10 or 11, he would have no bonus. With a 12, he gets a bonus of 1. Which, as I said, is not great, but not terrible. Okay, so there's our first slug. And now move on to our second slug. Brush that on nice and lightly. All right, 15, not bad. All right, so the blacksmith throws the rock at these bat-like things, and sure enough, it actually knocks into one of them and partially dislodges it, and then clatters against the far wall, and that causes these creatures to get startled and pull out of Kuma's body, spitting blood everywhere. It's like a syringe being pulled out while still pulling blood out of the body. And they all start flapping away quite slowly, actually, really laboring. They're already almost twice as big as they were before. Their bodies bloated with blood. And you smell this acrid stench of this blood that was sucked out of Kuma. And you see Kuma laying there, essentially, I mean, not moving, but just laying there. What do you do? It is at this point that you hear a very familiar scream from down the stairs, by the way. A girl's scream. Your daughter's scream. What do you do? Right. There's our slimy slug number 2. And then we will have our slug number 3, and then I'll go back and add eyes to these things. Yeah, I'm glad I did the undercoat of the black and then this light coat of the silver. That really works. Duly noted for future reference. I don't think I've ever really used these slugs much, come to think of it. I actually have a bunch of little white ones. These little larvae, basically. But I think I'll keep them as they are for now. Get that done, then we'll go back to the dragon. Ooh. A lot of paint on that brush, more than I wanted. So it'll be a little more slimy around its head, I suppose. Grab Kuma, get him to safety within the rooms from the bats. while they're distracted, ensuring not to draw their attention. So this room is actually it's about, let's say 12 by 12. And it basically contains this this opening and the stairway going down. And there's stone walls all around, which are kind of the sides of this temple room. And you see there are carvings around. The floor is just bare dirt, basically. So you can kind of wedge Kuma into a corner if you want, up here, near where the bats are. They're probably going to come after him at some point. I mean, he's not hard to find, unless you wanted to drag him down the stairs with you. But there's just, if you really wanted to get him away from these bats, you need to drag him, probably hundreds of feet, right? They're going to be good at finding their dinner. Unless you want to pull him downstairs. So what do you do? All right. Slug number 3, excuse me. And then I think for these guys... Yeah, do that. No. That's fine, but I want my shiny, glossy black. Cover that with a gloss black. All right, got some nice black protuberances there. Some more on this other eye. I'm fine with this eye being kind of weird and globular. It should be anyway. There we go. Weird bug eyes. Okay, we come back, and like we were saying, this has just one eye, so I'm just gonna boop and boop. Let's cover that eye with black. Have enough paint on here? Yeah, maybe. Nope. Yeah. There we are. Okay, good. Those look nice and alien now. All right. Grab the backpack and leave him there. There's supplies in there that might come in handy when rescuing the daughter. Return to the bats and bring them with him deeper into the ruins of the temple. So, you can certainly grab... So, the blacksmith sort of waves his hands and tries to attract attention to the bats. But they seem pretty lethargic at this point. They've all retreated to their nest, and they don't seem like they're willing to come back out. They've gorged, and they do not seem willing to help you on this particular quest. Not a bad idea, but now that they've already attacked and done their thing, they're kind of sated for a little while. So other creatures you can totally do that with, but not those, unfortunately. So what next? All right, so we can bring him over here. Back to our dragon. So we got some nice striation there, some nice variation. I'm actually not totally displeased with this. I'm going to do for this for now, because I'm just not clear how to make this look better with the amount of detail it has. I'm going to go ahead and, oops, actually, I acted too soon. I'm going to give him eyes. Ah. Okay. He's going to get weird eyes. I will probably come back with white and fix that. Gave him this weird teardrop eye. Gotta go ahead and fix that. Okay, so so you drag Kuma down. You find yourself in the lower room. You see there are a bunch of people down there. I'm sorry. You see the figures off to the left, and you see the room, the corridor, sort of further on, and you hear your daughter scream yet again. The scream now has a gurgling to it. You're going to stopping the bleeding and cauterizing it will take probably 20 minutes. Do you want to do that? Yeah, just gonna kind of leave that as it is. Him. Let's go ahead. I'm gonna give him a black base. I think I have a black on here. Yeah, I think it's just a straight black. Ah. Ooh. I think I can make that work. If I can get some paint on it. There we go. Yeah, that'll work. Probably should have painted the base first, but such is life. And you are talking sort of medieval level technology here. They are certainly aware of cleaning and cauterizing wounds, but a blacksmith does not know how to do that effectively. So it will take time. One of the problems with dipping your brush into a pot of black ink is that it's almost impossible to tell where the ink is or the paint is because it's black. Right? So by definition, it's kind of hard to see in there. Good. I like black bases. They tend to be a little easier to not see, kind of ignore at the table. Weird colors just tend to stick out. All right. So you stop you stop the bleeding and cauterize the wounds, but Kuma is dead. Kuma's down. Unfortunately. You know, in the time between him going down and you going downstairs and coming back up and getting the things off there through there, he's gone. All right, so there's the black base. So what does the blacksmith do at this point? I'm going to leave that. we dried yet over here? I think dried enough. Yeah. Gonna get in there and fix that eye. There we are. Cool. Not something you want to see coming at you. All right. And then actually, while I'm at it, come back in here, and I had a little bit of black paint that came over onto his mouth. So I kind of want to clean up some of his mouth. Okay. The adventure is over. Story's done. The blacksmith goes back to the village, having lost his daughter. And that's it. All right. So, like I said, just touching in bits around the mouth, giving that little sense of teeth. The blackness was a little too much. All right. So yeah, it feels a little dirtier. It feels a little weirder instead of just that straight white, which is actually better. But I don't think I'm gonna get much better than this with my tools and experience at this point. All right, so yeah, I'm gonna stop with the dragon there. I'll let that just be the dragon, and then let me come back to him, and I'm gonna go ahead and paint up that book. Let me grab a brown and just give the book a base coat, so it has a base coat. It's not kind of green. Ooh. There we are. And the pages should be a different color, but I can always come back and do that. Yeah, that is not what I would call a successful adventure. But sometimes adventures don't work out. All right. This goes here, that goes there. Trying not to overload the brush with paint. I'm also trying to at least get some frickin' paint on the brush. Come on. There we go. Okay. Get some brown there. All right. And, all right. Yeah. So there's his book. All right, there's our priest with his brown book. Like I said, I'll probably come back with like a yellow onto the pages. All right, cool. I think that does it for us for tonight. We've got our slugs. You've got our aforementioned priest. We've got our dragon. It certainly looks, I mean, I'm not thrilled with this paint job, but it looks better than just a plain white figurine. And certainly the eyes add a little bit to it. So that's cool. Like, it's better. It's not great. It's not like the Red Dragon we did before, but that's okay. Sometimes that happens. There we go. Still, like I said, not something you want to come across in the dead of night. All right. Thanks, Kuma. Thanks, everyone watching. Discord definitely worked better for the D&D. The lag was definitely less. And we'll be back next week with more Workshop Wednesday. Thanks, Hem. Hopefully then I will have the breadboard and everything else I need for the electronics project, and we'll move on. I actually have. I'm definitely out of minis. I might have some more by next week, but we'll probably have to move on from painting from that point pretty fully. So thank you all. See you next time. Until next week, make something.